is very little, but on your LinkedIn profile, it's free. Your LinkedIn profile has so many different sections, and you can really showcase what you want to be known for, what you do, your experience, your interest, your volunteer experience. You can get recommendations. I mean, the profile is so extensive. It is really your digital billboard. And yeah, so Michelle Natalia Moore confirmed that when she Googles her name, her LinkedIn shows up right at the top, then her website. So if you're struggling with, because you feel there are other people with the same name as you, add a middle name to your LinkedIn profile. You should not add any other characters. Like there are some people who have their name and then they'll have their, like they might have expat coach. LinkedIn only wants you to have your names on your profile as your profile name. At some point, if they find that you're using other stuff besides your name, they may take down your profile, put you in LinkedIn jail. It's going against the LinkedIn community guidelines. There's plenty of places for you to promote your business, your expertise, your job title. Do not put that in your LinkedIn profile name. When I see people with their LinkedIn profile names with all their various like degrees and all their different, job titles, I'm less likely to connect with them. I'm first connecting with the person. I go to their profile, I look at the about section, I look at their headline, and then I decide if I want to connect. So just an FYI, remove all additional stuff from your LinkedIn profile name. You can add a middle name, you can add something that makes you stand out, but do not add anything else. So coming back to, yeah, so it is a 24/7 networking chat room. That's what LinkedIn was created for. And then when we move to a new country, very often we feel so isolated, we feel so lost. I mean, there's so many issues that we face when we move abroad, right? We lack of identity, lack of visibility, not having the right networks. So LinkedIn can really play a role in that. And I want to give you a little introduction and a backstory about me and how I got started with LinkedIn. So I moved to the US in 2002. I think that was the same year LinkedIn was first launched. So I moved to the San Francisco Bay Area, and LinkedIn was launched in that, where I live in the Silicon Valley. I think they created it in the, the kitchen, like some, or garage, like so many startups in the Silicon Valley started. And then they in 2003 they made it official. I didn't know about its existence. Here I was struggling to build my professional network, trying to find jobs. I had no idea LinkedIn existed. When I was working for a nonprofit that actually helped immigrant professionals get jobs in the US, I joined them in 2006. In 2007, one of the job seekers we were working with, he had moved to the US from, I think, Belarus or Bulgaria. I don't remember now. It's been such a long time. He mentioned this social media platform. He said, "Hey, do you guys know about LinkedIn? I have 500 professional connections." And I was struggling to make connections at that point, besides the few people I had met at Upwardly Global and through the larger community. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. And he said, all you need to do is upload your resume and then you can start connecting. So that's what I did. I uploaded my resume and I started making connections. And one of my job roles at Upwardly Global was to find mentors for the job seekers that were going through the program. So these immigrant professional job seekers. And again, I had no network when I moved to the US. I came here to study film, and my network was really, filmmakers, but I had decided I didn't want to make my career all about filmmaking. So I didn't have the right network to help these job seekers. Part of my job was also connecting with companies, with corporations in the San Francisco Bay Area, connecting with HR managers and other folks who are senior at these companies, and to get them to invite our job seekers to do tours of the company, to do mock interviews, be mentors, to volunteer by teaching workshops. So suddenly this whole new world opened up to me. I could connect with these people without any gatekeepers. I would send them a connection request and I'd send them a message after that, let them know that I was working for this nonprofit, helping immigrant professionals get jobs in the US. Could they host a mock interview? Would they be willing to mentor or volunteer? And the responses were amazing. There were so many people that responded, and I was like, wow, this is a gold mine. Because before that I was on Facebook, but on Facebook it was mostly connecting with friends. And as I said before, sometimes people don't even have their job titles on Facebook. Maybe I was friends with some folks in San Francisco, but I didn't know what they did, because it didn't really, the profiles are so minimal on Facebook, that it didn't really help me. And maybe now people use Facebook more professionally, but at that time Facebook was just, sending memes, you sharing about your vacation, kids, marriage, whatever, right? So this was like, wow, this is great. So that's when I realized how powerful LinkedIn was. So I joined it in 2007. And then over the years, I started using it for different career pivots that I did. I made a documentary film after I quit Upwardly Global. And I started connecting with people who could fundraise for my film. But I started promoting my film. I got onto the media. I was like on NPR and a bunch of this. Not that everything came through LinkedIn, but connections lead to connections. I was spreading the word. And then when I founded the Expat Woman in 2013, this again, my network changed, because Sunny from film, so I was in the nonprofit connecting with corporations. Then I was making films, and I was looking for people who are interested in the topic, which was gender violence in India. And so I was looking for people who were interested in supporting the film, coming to my fundraisers, helping me spread the word. But then when I started the Expat Woman, again, my target audience changed. I wanted to connect with other women who had moved to initially my focus was San Francisco. So other women who had moved to San Francisco, or companies who wanted to host our events. And it just again snowballed. I was able to grow the Expat Woman to six figures. Now, not everything through LinkedIn, but LinkedIn did help play a big role, because I was promoting my events, I was promoting my speakers, I was reaching out to sponsors, I was reaching out to companies. So I had companies like Google and Microsoft and Yelp and GoPro and LinkedIn, and all these amazing companies host my events. And then I also was able to sell tickets, find speakers, because again, it was a new network. I wanted to get high level senior women expats who were breaking the glass ceiling, either in the companies they work for, or if they were running their own businesses. And again, LinkedIn became my route to finding these people. And it was amazing. So that's a little backstory of how I started using LinkedIn, and how it helped me as someone who had a zero network when they moved to the US. Also, not very confident and comfortable creating content or selling or marketing my services or my products or my movies, because I used to work in corporate before I moved to the US. So it was different. It was here I was promoting myself, and it was harder for anyone who runs their own business. You know how hard it is to promote yourself initially. But I got comfortable using LinkedIn, because that's what LinkedIn is. It's a professional platform. Now, you don't want to make every post promoting yourself or your business or asking people to hire you. But if you do that occasionally, like, it's fine, because it is a professional network. It's a little harder on Facebook to do it, because people see it more as a platform for making friends and connections, etc. So anyway, we're going to go into more stuff. If you have any questions, let me know in the chat. You want to add anything to this, let me know. Also, what are you using LinkedIn for currently, and what are some areas you're struggling with LinkedIn? And if you're watching this for the first time, please like, and not for the first time, but if you're just watching this, please like this video so more people can see it, and do subscribe to this YouTube channel so you can see more content like this. I do content about professional women navigating a new country, and giving you tips, strategies, and also other fun stuff. All right, so yeah, I don't see anything else in the chat. Again, if let me know how you're using LinkedIn, and what or what are some of the challenges or struggles you faced with LinkedIn, or what is one area you'd like to focus on LinkedIn? All right. So with that, let's go back to LinkedIn and yeah. So educators at the cafe saying using LinkedIn to generate conversations related to my work that I can build writing pieces from. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, Christina, thank you. Sorry. Thanks for sharing your name. All right. So that's a great strategy to use LinkedIn to. And one of the, I just want to share a quick tip with you: creating polls around your area of expertise or like a research project. For instance, I'm hosting a LinkedIn profile workshop next week, so I will create a poll maybe tomorrow asking people, uh, have you optimized your profile? What are your challenges? Like a poll around a specific question. It could be, have you optimized your LinkedIn profile? Then they'll say yes or no. I just have two options in the poll, right? And then those who have said no, I could in the comments say maybe you might be interested in attending my LinkedIn profile masterclass, or I can send them direct messages. Or you could create a post where you get people to engage. You could ask a question, and then that could be used to create content. But I'm jumping ahead. Let's go back to using LinkedIn when you've moved abroad to achieve career success. So I spoke about why your profile needs to be optimized. The other thing is the network. I spoke about how I built my professional network. So if you move to a new country and you're looking for clients or looking for work in that country, LinkedIn has a search feature on when you go to the homepage on LinkedIn, and you can look for people specifically based on the country or the city you live in. That's what I did when I was trying to find folks to volunteer and mentor for Upwardly Global job seekers. I would look up San Francisco. And I don't remember how effective the search features or filters were, but it worked because I found a lot of amazing folk, and some of them are still friends with me. Some of them have been involved in helping me at my with my documentary film, and now part of the Expat Woman community. So they've stayed with me. Uh, so Altu says, what is the way to build a business targeting Indian parents? So can you clarify, are you looking for Indian parents based in the US or Indian parents in India? Because the more specific you are about where is my target audience, are these Indian parents living in San Francisco? Are the Indian parents living in the larger San Francisco Bay Area? Are the Indian parents living in the US? Are the Indian parents living across the globe? That's what you need to do. You first need to find this. You need to identify your target audience, where they are based, who they are, and then you start working on reaching out to them. But the first thing, if you're going to use LinkedIn, is you have to figure out who your target audience is and what they do, where they're based. All right. So if you answer those questions, we can talk more about that. So the other really powerful tool with LinkedIn when you move abroad is your identity, right? Because when you move to another country, at least I faced that, suddenly you don't have an identity. People are not sure what to make of you. And I know some of you here are repatriates, even when you move back to a country, right? And you've lived in other countries before. How do you build your identity? And LinkedIn is such a powerful tool for building your identity, for building your personal brand, because whatever you say on your LinkedIn profile is your personal brand. The photograph you put, the banner you have above it, the your headline, your about section, your experience, you have a featured section, what you put in that, all of that goes towards building your personal brand. And first appearances are so important because, as I said, people Google your name, then they go to your profile. But if your profile is just like a wasteland, there's really nothing there, maybe just a job title, and or like if I said founder of the Expat Woman and that was it, people are like, what is the Expat Woman? You have to remember, when you're creating your profile, when you're building your personal brand, when you're building your identity, you have to think about not yourself, but the people who are coming to your profile. Will they really figure out what you are about if they just come to your profile? Will they so your profile should really showcase your expertise and what you want to be known for. And you should create your profile like you're talking to these people, so they read it, they feel like you're sitting across from them and they understand what you say. And you also want to use keywords, so if people do a search, because LinkedIn is searchable, right? It's searchable on Google. It's also LinkedIn itself is a search engine tool. So if someone puts in expat coach for I don't know, expat coach for French expat coach, maybe then you might show up because you have French in your somewhere in your profile. You have expat coach, so you want to make sure those keywords. For instance, Altools. If you tell me your name, that'll be helpful. So I'm not calling you Altools. Altools wants to target Indian parents in the US. So Altools, you would want to make sure that in your headline, in your about section, in your featured section, and also in the content you create, you want to be seen as the person who helps Indian parents. Now you have to be, again, the most specific you are. What are you doing with these Indian parents? What are you helping them with? Is it helping them parent their kids? Is it helping them find schools? Is it helping them navigate life in another country? If you share in the chat, that'll be helpful. Okay. So yeah, so what is your personal brand? I realized I was talking about personal brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. So in this case, your LinkedIn profile and your personal brand is when people come to your profile, do they at once say this, understand that this is the person working with Indian parents, or this woman is a LinkedIn coach? Does your profile reflect that? Now I have two businesses. I'm the founder and CEO of the Expat Woman, where I help women who have moved abroad to be empowered by providing them with community collaborations, opportunities and resources, so they can be seen, heard, and get the opportunities they want. So my target audience with Expat Women is professional expat women, high achieving expat women. Marlena is and Michelle, I know them personally through, of course, LinkedIn and online, but they're both high achieving professional women. So they are part of my target audience. So when I write my profile, when I create my content, when I connect with people, my focus is on these women. I'm also LinkedIn coach and consultant and trainer. My first target audience, again, is high achieving, ambitious, talented women living abroad. But I'm also in this case, I'm also open to non-expats. Like I've been hired by companies, by organizations, by individuals to help them with leveraging LinkedIn to optimize their profiles, to create content, to build their network, etc. But my main focus is expat women. So that is what I always keep in mind. What you can do if you have more than one business is you can create separate company pages. So I have my LinkedIn profile if you go to my headline, I talk about, so the headline is the sent, the two, I think it's 220 characters below your name, where you can have your job title, where you can say anything else. So I mentioned both my businesses. I start with the Expat Woman, but I also say I'm a LinkedIn coach and trainer. I also do that in the about section, in my featured section, in my experience section. You might be working for a company and also have a side hustle. Well, know in Michelle's case, she's running a business and she also has a nonprofit. And now the beauty with LinkedIn is, if you have LinkedIn Premium, which I don't suggest you get right now, first get really comfortable using LinkedIn. Use all their free tools. Once you get more comfortable and you want to start showcasing your business, you can create a slideshow of your banner. So the banner is the image behind your profile image on LinkedIn. You can create banners, rotating banners, so which will reflect more than one business or more than one service that you provide. So I have my LinkedIn business and the Expat Woman business, but I also included more banners where I talk about being a speaker, because I also like to promote myself as a speaker, both for events and also for corporate gigs and training. So the banner is very powerful, but I would say focus on your most relevant business, the expertise you want to be known for, and then you can include the side hustles later on. Any questions so far? I am hosting a LinkedIn profile workshop on Tuesday, February 25th. If you're a member of the Expat Woman membership, it is free to attend. If not, you can you can register for it. I have the link in the description of this video, so you can join it. And if you can't make the live, it won't be a live stream, it'll be on Zoom. You get access to the replay as well. And I'll also be including a LinkedIn profile checklist, because I don't want to talk just about profiles today, but the profile is the foundation for everything else you do on LinkedIn. You can be creating amazing content, you can be engaging with your audience or with other folks on LinkedIn, but if your profile is not really representing what you want to be known for, then people come to your profile and they're not sure what you do or how you yeah. Michelle wants to know, what are the best practices for a banner? Great question, Michelle. For the banner, I would say it's really a digital billboard. So you want it to showcase what you do. For instance, if you're and you can change the banner. That's the beauty of the banner. Even if you don't use the rotating banners, even if you use just one banner, it's very dynamic. Say you're launching a course or a workshop. You have a workshop, you can create a banner to reflect that. You and the other thing to keep in mind is you shouldn't have the links, not you shouldn't have the links on the banner are not clickable. So say you're launching a book, or you've just launched a book, you can put that in the banner. It's coming soon, coming soon, LinkedIn tips for expats. Now, I'm not writing that book, I'm just giving you an example. LinkedIn tips for expats, you can have a thing of the book, and then you can have a little arrow say, go click below for to pre purchase a copy of the book, something like that. Some people just have like very generic images on the banner, and they're wasting that real estate. Your banner is your digital billboard. As I said, it's your banner, your headline, your about section. These are all really important. I see a lot of people, especially people who live in San Francisco, their banners like the Golden Gate Bridge, that besides maybe telling me the person lives in San Francisco, the banner really doesn't say anything about what the person does, right? So imagine you're driving down the freeway and you just see like a billboard with a Golden Gate Bridge. What is it? It doesn't tell you anything. Think about all those billboards you see when you're driving down the freeway, like when you're driving to Las Vegas. Now, if you don't live in the US, maybe you haven't seen this. If you have and you've been to Vegas, you'll see, because so many people, I guess, gamble, they drink, and then they're getting into accidents. You'll see all these billboards of lawyers for people who've gotten into car accidents, DUI. So think of that as your banner, right? It tells them, it has like a nice tagline, and then it has some information, maybe a sentence or two, maybe an eye-catching image. You don't want to use the same image you have in your profile for your banner image. It should be something different. If you want to be a speaker, maybe you can have an image of you on the microphone, and you can create that image at home. The beauty with iPhones now is you can create it, remove the background. And if you use Canva even has examples of LinkedIn banners, and you can create your own banner for that. Do not use the LinkedIn generic banner. So if you're not using a photograph of like whichever city you live in, do not also use the banners that LinkedIn suggests, and do not keep it empty. You see so many gray banners. Yeah. Michelle, I hope that answered your question. I think you're attending the LinkedIn profile workshop, and if you're not, you'll get a recording because you're a member of the Expat Woman. So you'll get that. So we'll be going more into banners there, and then I'll also show you examples of banners. So that's next Tuesday at 9 a.m. PST. All right. So now when you've lived abroad, I think it's really important for you to really leverage that experience, showcase that you've lived abroad. Now, with the world being so global, so remote, hybrid, in the past, I think people didn't want to share that they had worked or lived in other countries, or they were from another country. But today, I think it sets you apart from other people. I know Michelle has lived in several countries. She's repatriated to the US, but Michelle, and I think Michelle, you reflect that in your profile. I haven't looked at your profile recently, but I think you share that you've lived in all these countries. Even if you're not an expat coach or working with repats or immigrants or whatever you call yourself, I think showing that you are from another country, that you've had experience in those countries, or you work there, or you speak more than one language, Like some people even have bilingual, multilingual in their headline. So that's the 220 characters below your name. So use your international experience to your advantage, right? Make sure you mention that, if not in the headline, in the about section. I have worked in these countries. I have, or if you've traveled, whatever. I think showing that you're a global professional, showcasing the languages you speak, showcasing some experience, and it can also translate into your content. You can even give examples of, some, like, sharing, this is what it was like when I lived in Russia, and finding it, somehow connecting it with what you want to share today. Remember, people buy from people, people hire from people, and people are always excited when they know someone's had international experience. Not everyone has the experiences that you have had with you living in more than one country. So Akanksha, I'm assuming you're from India, now you live in the US. So you have certain experiences that someone who's never left the US has never had. You have certain experiences that someone who has never left India has, right? So doesn't have. So just think of that, showcasing the languages you can speak, the experiences, the countries you've lived in. Bring that in, even if it's not currently relevant with what you do. I think it just adds an additional dimension to it. Um, the other thing you want to do is, I'm just looking, I put at my notes, creating content. As I said before, sharing, when you create content, it's an 80-20 rule. Not every piece of content should be promoting your business, your services, your events. You also want to create content where you add value, and sometimes personal content. I hear people saying LinkedIn is not Facebook. Sometimes I do find some of the content is a bit too much. Like some people just, it's like, I think sometimes it's too much information. Like, they're showing themselves. I saw one photograph where a woman has just delivered a baby and she's in the hospital with the baby. I don't know, or someone talks about. Right now my mind drawing a blank, but I think there should be a balance. Again, it's what you're comfortable with revealing on LinkedIn with your content, but I think showing the authentic side of you, and maybe because you're talking about living abroad, sharing maybe occasionally stories of you in the country you lived in, the experiences you had there. Michelle, I'm coming back to you again because I know your work with like digital detox, talking maybe about what it's like in different countries. Are people as addicted to social media in the countries that you lived in the past compared to here? Things like that. So you still are kind of highlighting that you've lived abroad, but connecting it with what you want to be known for. Uh, Akanksha said, what do you share that you have lived in multiple countries? Where do you share? You can share it in the about section, Akanksha. You can share that, in the about section at some point. The other thing I would say is, if you can even make it a fun fact. Like in the about section, you can have icebreakers. Like in my about section, if you go to Naina Kaputi, my LinkedIn profile, my about section, I say fun fact. I like true crime. I like watching true crime and masterpiece theater. I walk 5 miles daily. I think I may also say I have 4 cats. So if you feel the countries you've lived in are not relevant to what you want to say in the about fact, in the about section, you can even put it as a fun fact. um, Christina said living abroad offers multicultural competence training. I've lived in Saudi Arabia, Australia, Brazil, and India. That's fantastic. Christina, what do? Do you want to share in the chat what you do? So and then you can share how you're showcasing that in your profile. I mean, that's amazing. You've lived in and countries that are pretty diverse and far apart. So I can imagine the multicultural experience you have, and I'm wondering if you even have learned some of the languages in the countries you lived in. So would love to hear that. But that's amazing. Yeah. Then, and Akanksha said Indians who are abroad have a hard time getting the best education for their kids. We feel like kids in India are having a better education. Now we're getting the best Indian educator. So it looks like that's your business, Akanksha. So you want to showcase that in your profile, in your content, like what you just shared here. That could be that you could create content around that. You could maybe do a poll for, if you're an Indian parent living in the US, how would you rate education in the US compared to India? Then you can have, like, the first poll could be on a scale of 1 to 10. You can choose 1, 3, 5, because you can only do 4 responses on a poll. So think of being creative with that. All right. uh, Join groups. There are so many groups on LinkedIn. Say you've moved to a new country, or you're planning to move, you can look for groups around that country in your area of expertise, in maybe even a side hustle that you're interested in. The one thing I want to share is, when you're joining groups, see how active the group is. Like, you can look at the group and see how many people are members of the group, how active they are. They're not LinkedIn groups aren't as great as Facebook groups. Facebook is much Groups are much better. But the beauty with LinkedIn groups is, if you join the group, say Akanksha wants to join a group of Indian parents or NRIs in the US, non-resident Indians in the US, or Indians in the US. You join the group, and then you can see who's in that group, and that gives you access to an audience or network immediately, because obviously everyone who joins that group are Indians in the US, and then you can connect, or Indians planning to move to the US, and then you can reach out to them, say, hey, I'd like to connect with you on LinkedIn. I'm also an Indian in the US, and I see both of us are part of this group, right? So that's, yeah. So, yeah. Christina says, I support mentor mid-career educators and currently working on writing thought pieces focused on education systemic issues and how we can collectively address these. Wow, that sounds amazing. So uh, I hope you're leveraging LinkedIn for that. And uh, Christina, yeah, how would you do the, yeah, Akanksha, you do a poll as a LinkedIn post. I will share a link in the comments after I'm done with this. I did a video. So I have another YouTube channel where it's all about LinkedIn tips. And I believe maybe I have a video on how to create a poll on LinkedIn. Let me check. So you can look for the YouTube channel. It's Naina Kaputi. That's the name of the YouTube channel, is Naina Kaputi. So if you look it up, I think you might find, and I have lots of quick short tips on different things on leveraging LinkedIn. Yeah. Yeah. And then Christina uh, says she speaks Portuguese and currently living in Brazil. Yeah. Yeah, you just, and it's, I want to give everyone a tip, especially if you're moving, you're burnt out, you move to a new country, you're not sure if you how to create posts. Something you can do initially is, you don't have to create content. You can find content on by doing a search. As I said, LinkedIn's a search engine, so you can enter keyword. For instance, I'm going back to Akanksha's about Indian parents, right? So she can just do maybe a search or Indian parents in the LinkedIn search bar, and then it'll, below that you'll see different categories, and then you click on posts, and then it'll pull up the posts about Indian parents. And then if there's a post you really like, you can reshare that post. So, it says reshare. You'll see a little arrow below the post. So you can reshare it with your thoughts, or you can just reshare directly. But if you're looking at creating content, you want to reshare the post with your thoughts. So this is another brilliant way to showcase your expertise and build your network. Because when you start resharing posts of people who are creating content in your industry, or content, or they're people who could be a potential target audience, then they're going to start noticing you. It makes you stand out as an authority, because you're resharing a post to your network who are interested in that content, and you're adding your own thoughts to it. So you're also showcasing yourself as an expert. So, and then another, you can kill two birds with one stone. Whatever content you share in the repost, you can copy it and leave it as a comment on that post, so you're using it 2 times. And when you reshare posts with your thoughts, make sure you tag the author in the post. So say you go to my LinkedIn profile. I've done, say I did a post about this LinkedIn event. You can repost it, and you can maybe share like a key takeaway from today. You can say, I attended Nina's LinkedIn live stream on YouTube on how expats can leverage LinkedIn abroad, So you tag me, Naina Kaputi, and then you can say my key, this was my key takeaway, or this was, or share this, or you can even do something like I really enjoyed it because now it's inspired me to create more content. So, this so makes you stand out, shows people that you are serious about leveraging LinkedIn. And, because not everything has to be identical to what you want to be known for. You can also showcase things that you're interested, that LinkedIn is, this is the year I'm going to take LinkedIn seriously, this is the year I'm going to leverage LinkedIn to stand out and showcase my expertise. Yeah, Akanksha wants to know, this is her side hustle. How does she balance work profile and side hustle profile? So I would say you can do that in your headline, unless your company is against it. And I think now a lot of companies actually encourage employees, at least in the US, I know, so long as the side hustle is not competing with their main job, it is actually showcases that the employee has additional interest, right? And so I know companies are fine with that. So I've seen people who they'll have like their main, like say software engineer at Google, and then their side hustle might be career coach, right? I am also a career coach. I've seen plenty of people, and I'm connected with so many women in the corporate world. Many of them are coaches on the side, or they Zumba instructors, or they just have other things they do as well. So that what you could do, Akanksha, if your company is okay with it, because I don't think it's, hopefully, I'm assuming it doesn't really interfere with your main job. I've seen people who say, software engineer by day and YouTuber by night, and that's in their headline, and then they put it in their about section. The other thing you can do is you can create a company page for your side hustle. So you'll have your main, in your experience, you have your, say you're working at Google as a software engineer, then that would be on in your experience section. But then you can create another experience with whatever the name, say education for kids in the US, Indian kids in the US, whatever your company name is, and you can create a company page for that. You can have as many side hustles you want, but just create separate company pages. Hopefully that answers your question. The other thing, as an expat, someone who's lived in multiple countries or has moved from one country to another, or has repatriated, you want, so you're building this powerful personal brand, you're creating content, you're connecting with the right people, building that network. I also use it when I travel. So I haven't expatriated since I moved to the US, but I go back to India. I travel to other countries. Like last year, we traveled to Japan and to Australia. And of course, India. I go to India almost every year. And I usually go on our way to India. We usually stop and visit other countries on the way. So I always look for people in those countries who are in my LinkedIn network. And if they're not, I might even search and connect with people. So last year I met people from who had connected with on LinkedIn in Australia, in Japan, and then in India too, because I've been away from India for so long. So my network is dwindling there. And I'm like, because so I connected with expat women living in India. So I met up with them for coffee. So it's so whether you're traveling or you're moving or you move back to your country, LinkedIn's such a powerful tool to find people. You just use the search and use country by country, city, industry. Like when I'm building my network, I one of the keywords I use is expats. Who has expat? And this is why it's so important to showcase, if you want to connect with other expats or other Indians or other Americans, the more those keywords show up in your profile, not more, the more. But if you have those keywords that you want to be found for, make sure you put them somewhere in your LinkedIn profile. So yes, recommendations. It's very important when you move to another country that you get recommendations from people you have worked with in the previous countries that you lived in, because if you're looking for a job in the current country or looking for clients and you're still building that network, it's good to have those recommendations. Social proof on LinkedIn is so important, whether you're a job seeker, whether you're a business owner, whether you're looking for speaking gigs. Social proof, because when someone's looking to hire you, they will scroll down to their recommendations, right? Because anyone can make this fabulous profile, but recommendations can't lie. And what is so powerful about LinkedIn recommendations is that you can't have fake recommendations. When you go to someone's website, they might have recommendations. You don't know if those recommendations are from real people or fake people. But on LinkedIn, if you go to the recommendations section and you scroll down, you will see the name of the person who gave the recommendation. You can click on their LinkedIn profile. So there's no fake recommendations on LinkedIn. So the more recommendations you can get, the more social proof, and the more building that authority and identity in the country you've moved to. And then the other thing is finding events that you can attend, right? So this, again, use LinkedIn as a search tool. Enter, say you want to attend events on AI. So just put in AI, and then in, again, in the search, you'll have different options: post, events. So click on events, and then it'll pull up all the events. A lot of events are virtual. If you're looking for events in your city, I mean, there's Eventbrite and there's meetups, but a lot of people are creating events on LinkedIn for in-person and virtual events. And then also LinkedIn lives, where people, just like I'm going live directly on YouTube, people are going live on LinkedIn. And then when you join an event page, you're finding people who have similar interests to you or have an interest in that topic. So this is one more opportunity for you to connect with the right people and build your network. And people lead can connect you with other people. When you make a connection with someone, you can always say, would you like me to connect you with someone? You can go through my LinkedIn connections. Some people keep their LinkedIn connections open, so you can say, look through my LinkedIn connections if there's anyone you think you would like connected to, and then you can say, could I do the same? Okay. So yeah, so events are such a powerful tool as well for building your network, sharing your expertise, because you can also start like a thread on the event page. You can say, I'd like to introduce, I'm so excited about this event, I'd like to introduce myself, and then maybe even ask a question. And then, of course, engaging in comments. So you go to someone's post, and maybe it's a post about something that you're interested in your area of expertise. You can go to the comments and see who's commenting, and then comment on those comments. That's another way of building your network, building your authority. You want to use LinkedIn to get seen, get heard, get known, and it will open the doors to new opportunities. I have got so many opportunities after I put myself out there on LinkedIn, and I can't rest. I have to still be active on it. I still have to build my network. I still have to nurture relationships. I still have to create content. I'm constantly updating my profile. Everything's a work in progress, but it's exciting. I find LinkedIn. I love YouTube, but again, YouTube. I don't know who the people are sometimes behind the YouTube names. As you can see, even here, like you guys, some of you have names like I don't know who they are, right? But on LinkedIn, you can't have a name other than your registered or legal first and last name. So that's why I love the platform. Does anyone have any other questions, comments, want to add something to what I've shared already? Uh, I've been going for almost 50 minutes now. You can see how much I love LinkedIn, how much this platform has helped me. It's also helped me build my self-confidence, because a lot of people have imposter syndrome with showing up on LinkedIn. They feel nervous because they feel they'll be judged. I For me, the way I overcame it was by doing it regularly, and kicking it to the curb, telling myself, so what, maybe some people will think, like, who is she, does she to post on LinkedIn, especially when I was sharing about when I was sharing about LinkedIn, because I became a LinkedIn coach and trainer by default. My main focus was the expat woman, but I was using LinkedIn to build the expat woman, and I was very successful with it. And during the pandemic, like, somehow people started reaching out to me to work with me on training them to become more proficient with LinkedIn. So it kind of became default. Like, I never thought I'd be a LinkedIn coach and trainer, but it just by me being so active on LinkedIn and getting results, I that's become my second source of income, my second job, a LinkedIn coach and trainer. I forgot where I was going with this, but I'm seeing people asking questions. um, what Christina wants to know, what are the do's, don'ts suggestions you have? What are the don't do this suggestions? So I would say, if you have your own business, or don't just start, you know, selling stuff right off the bat to people. Read their profiles, comment on their posts, build, nurture the relationships. Sometimes I'll have people selling me LinkedIn coaching services. That means they haven't even looked at my profile. They haven't seen that I'm a LinkedIn coach and trainer. I just block them. I just don't. If I'm connected with them, then I just remove the connection. So I'm saying be strategic. LinkedIn's all about nurturing relationship, and it's also about lifting other people up. I think you want to definitely build your authority, your personal brand on LinkedIn. But for instance, if I see someone posting job openings, I might comment on that post and say, you know, I'm commenting so your post gets more reach, because I know a lot of people, especially in the San Francisco Bay Area, have been laid off from tech jobs. So I might comment on those jobs. Another tip, another don't will be, don't accept connection requests from everyone. Don't focus on the vanity metrics like, oh, I want to have this huge number of people in my, when people go to my profile, I want to show that I have like several thousand connections and followers. So you just accept every connection request. Don't do that. Look, when someone connects with you, look at their profile, look at the country they live in, look at what they do. Is this someone you want in your network? Because, and why this is so important is, when you start creating content or when you comment on posts, LinkedIn shows this to only 20% of your network. So if you are not if you have people in your network who are not your ideal audience or target audience, and those are the 20% LinkedIn is showing your post to, and it's not going to really result in anything, it's a waste. So I would say be very strategic about who you're connecting with and who you're bringing into your network. So don't accept every connection request. The other thing, if you're using Chat GPT to create content or to create comments, please personalize it. I can tell a Chat GPT comment from a mile away, because if anyone's used Chat GPT, let me know in the comments. Anyone used a Chat GPT to create content, or just chat gpt? Yeah, when I'll say chat gpt, can you write a LinkedIn post for me on why expats should use LinkedIn? Then chat gpt will create this post with all kinds of crazy emojis, like every line will have an emoji. It just sounds very robotic. So if I do that, then I will then tweak it. I'll remove all those emojis and only use ones that I think are relevant. I will tweak it. I will personalize it. So personalize your content. So I will make sure that it's about me, like I'm talking about me, because you see chat gpt posts, it's just like, it's almost right like reading, like an article, educational article, right? It's nothing personal. So say if I'm writing a post about why expats should use LinkedIn, I will talk about my own experience, that I didn't have a network when I moved to the US, and now I have 17,000 plus people in my network, and many of them have resulted in maybe business, friends, cheerleaders, members of the Expat Woman membership, clients. And this is why I think expats should use. So, you don't have, again, it doesn't have to always be a success story. It could be something very simple. Like I remember, used to suffer really badly from imposter syndrome. Showing up on LinkedIn or YouTube videos was really hard for me. I didn't like the way I sounded or I looked. But I did a post once where I had all these images of videos that I did. So I took a screenshot of the number of videos, and I was like, I had to take so many takes before I could build the confidence to show up on LinkedIn. And then I talk a little bit about imposter syndrome. So again, the post has to be relevant. But if you, I'm just, the tip is with chat gpt, people are, and LinkedIn too is now, I think they may not show your post to as many people if they know that you have used chat gpt to create the post. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Christina said, yeah, Chat GPT to brainstorm and then you add edit. I mean, we are so lucky. Chat GPT is definitely making things easier for us. But and it's great to get content ideas. Like you could say, give me 10 post ideas to write about, why expats should leverage LinkedIn, how they can leverage LinkedIn, and then it'll give me a whole bunch of topics. Um, Kansha said, "Are there any good groups you can share to join for expats abroad in LinkedIn?" So I have the Expat Woman LinkedIn group on LinkedIn, but it's not that active. But it's, and again, not everyone in that group is Indian. So you have to decide: am I wanting to join groups because I want to connect with other expat women so we can kind of help each other as we navigate life abroad, or am I looking to join groups so I can connect with other people who are my target audience? And you can belong, I forgot how many groups you can be a member of, but you can belong to quite a few groups. So I will share, it might be in the description, Akanksha, but if not, I will share a link to the LinkedIn group that I have for expats. And then, of course, I also have the membership, which is a paid membership for expat women, where we have an amazing community. Michelle is part of that community. It's like a very supportive group. The women are both business owners and they work for companies, and they really collaborate. We kind of support each other in our social media, in our goals. I provide a lot of opportunities to share and showcase our members' expertise on LinkedIn and elsewhere. So, and then the last thing I wanted to add besides groups is company pages. You can, if there's a company you want to work for, or you want to, maybe hoping they'll hire you for the services that you provide. For instance, I know Michelle does digital detox. I'm not using the right term, Michelle, but I guess people will get it. And she wants to reach out to companies and work with them so they'll hire her as a speaker to do training. She says she wants to approach, say, Uber. So she would go to the Uber LinkedIn page and she would join, follow the page and then start commenting on the post. And she would look at who are the people working for the company, and then key people who are active on LinkedIn. She would connect with them, maybe send them, then they would start seeing her posts. Maybe she might even reach out to them after a while and say, "Hey, I have this workshop. Do you think, do you know who I could reach out to in your company? You might be interested in that workshop." Or Akanksha, there are a lot of companies have Indian employee resource groups. So you can start doing some research on which companies have those Indian employee resource groups. Or may not be Indian parenting, but many of them in that Indian employee resource group might be Indian parents. And then you can reach out to them on LinkedIn. But following company pages is another way. So anyway, we are almost at the end of this session. I just want to recap what I've covered so far. So your profile is really important. You want to showcase your experience abroad, the languages you speak, which countries you've lived in, besides, of course, showcasing what you want to be known for. So you want to build that personal brand on LinkedIn. You want to be very strategic about who you connect with. If you move to a country or city, you want to also connect with people in that city or country, so that maybe you can then meet in person for coffee. I remember when I moved to the US, there was no LinkedIn. I wasn't on LinkedIn. How nice it would have been if I had been able to connect with people on LinkedIn and then meet with them maybe virtually first and then in person for coffee, right? It's because, again, you can see who the person is. As I said, there's very few fake profiles on LinkedIn. You want to create content that showcases your expertise, but also maybe sharing stories about your experience in another country, your culture, because people buy from people and people will maybe then connect with you. People, you want to be authentic, joining groups, joining events, getting recommendations, following company pages. LinkedIn is your oyster, so you want to just really leverage it and don't get burnt out. Take it slow, be strategic, and have fun on LinkedIn. If you have any more questions, the comments of this video are open, so you can leave your questions in the comments. I have lots of links in the description. I have about the upcoming LinkedIn profile workshop. I'm also hosting a LinkedIn office hours next Thursday on Zoom, where you can ask me more questions, where you'll be able to join me on Zoom. And of course, I have the Expat Woman membership and so much more. And do subscribe to this YouTube channel, do like it. Thank you so much. Bye.